Into Shastri Bha Bahudvesyan. Is that correct?
No, this is yesterday.
Okay, so we can chant yesterday's verse. Yadi Syur Bhavo Loke Yadi Syur Bhavo Loke Shastra Danda Darina Shastra Danda Darina Kasya Syatam Nava Kasya Syatam Nava Kasya Riju Shamritam Evava Riju Shamritam Evava Gentleman.
Yadishur Bhavo Loke Shastaro Dandadarina Kasya Syatamavakasya Mritushamritameva Yadishur Bhavo Loke Yadishur Bhavo Loke Shastaro Dandadarina Shashatam Navakasya Chamritam Eva Yadi if Shivu there are Bhava many Loke in this world Shastara rulers or controllers Dandadarina who punish the sinful man Kasya of whom Syatam there may be not Va or Kasya of whom Mrityu distress or unhappiness Sya and Amritam happiness Eva certainly Va or if in this universe there are many rulers and justices who disagree about punishment and reward, the contradictory actions will neutralize each other, and no one will be punished or rewarded. Otherwise, if their contradictory acts fail to neutralize each other, everyone will have to be both punished and rewarded. Purport: because Yamadutas have been unsuccessful in carrying out the order of Yamaraj, they doubted whether Yamaraj actually had the power to punish the sinful. So you read it yesterday, now take the other one. With your permission, is that okay? Alright. Kintu Shastri Bahudvesyat Bahunami Hakarminam Shastritvam Upavadahi Yata Mandala Vartinam. The Yamadutas continued, since there are many different karmis or workers, there may be different judges or rulers to give them justice. But just as one central emperor controls different department rulers, there must be one supreme controller to guide all the judges. Purport: in governmental management, there may be department officials to give justice to different persons, but the law must be one, and that central law must control everyone. The Yamadutas do not imagine that two judges would give two different verdicts in the same case, and therefore they wanted to know who the central judge is. The Yamadutas were certain that Ajamir was the most sinful man, but although Yamaraj wanted to punish him, the Vishnudutas excused him. This was a puzzling situation that the Yamadutas wanted Yamaraj to clarify. Srila Prabhupada Ki. So here we see that when Ajamil died after having committed so many bad activities, given so much pain to other people, naturally his next life would not have been such a good one according to the law of karma. And the Yamadutas were supposed to pull him from his material body at the time of death and bring him to the court of Yamaraj to be punished in some way and then given a new chance. It is not that, as some believe, that there is something like eternal condemnation after this life. We talked about this last night. And even theologists, although they sometimes want to believe in it, they told me that they actually have no explanation for the contradiction that God is actually all-merciful. And at the same time, there can be something like eternal condemnation. So this is not supported by the Vedas. And anyone is punished after this life forever. But maybe for some time. Because the laws of God are just and they're very perfect. Therefore, because God is all-merciful, He just gives some punishment in order so that the living entity can learn. If I give pain to others, I may have to suffer myself for some time. But then they are giving a new chance by receiving a new material body. And then again they can learn and maybe given a chance to do something good also, like that. So there's a perfect balance in the universe. And in this case, this Ajamil was a little exceptional because he had actually been committing a lot of bad activities, although he knew better. He was raised in the religious scriptures, but later, due to bad association, he completely forgot about it, committed many bad activities, and forgot all about spiritual life and the purpose of human life, which is self-realization and to elevate oneself to a higher consciousness. He forgot about that and became very degraded, a drunkard, and so on. So then the Yamadutas naturally came, because naturally he was afraid at the time of death. And he didn't want to leave his body, so they wanted to pull him out, because they were the messengers of the god of death, Yamaraj. So then the Vishnu Dutas came, the messengers of Vishnu, Supreme Personality of Godhead, and they forbid them to take out Ajamil. Why? Because they said he had chanted the holy name of God at the time of death. And because the holy name of God is so pure, it's no different from God. Therefore he was cleansed of all his sinful activities, and he should be given another chance. He should not die at this time. He should, in this body, remain for some time, and in this way, continue his devotional service like that, and then take shelter of God completely. So Yamadutas were somewhat frustrated, because all they had learned so far is the sinners, is the other, and their duty is to take the sinners and bring them before Yamaraj. So, because their understanding of supreme truth, as we discussed before, was, as in some religions also it is taught, that the laws of God, the scriptures, the holy scriptures, they are like representing God. They didn't know the personal aspect of God. That God is actually supreme consciousness, supreme intelligence. He's much more than just the scriptures. The scriptures are partial expression of God's glory and of God's laws, but God Himself is beyond all that. He's revealing Himself in the Holy Scriptures to those who seek knowledge. But that is more than just laws, and it's especially more than just moral laws. moral laws were important, they are the laws of God. But to know the intricacies, that requires a lot of understanding. So here at that point they come before Yamaraj, and just like government officials, when they want to do something and another department is saying, no, this is not right, and then the other one argues, but we learned from the paragraph so this is right, but they say paragraph so this injunction is there. But our head of the department said you should do like that. The other one said, but our head says it should be like that. And there's conflict, then naturally they have to appeal to a higher authority. They have to find out, there must be one authority for everyone, otherwise the state cannot function. So the supreme authority in any state is the government, that is usually elected by the people, and they have the ultimate power of decision. If that's not there, then it's very difficult to rule a country, as we have seen now in America, that Obama, although he has done many good things, of course, but then because Congress, I think, that was occupied by the opposite party, the Republicans, and he's Democrat. So they constantly blocked his decisions, and almost the country was going to the edge of total bankruptcy. It wasn't manageable anymore. Because nowadays systems of government and laws are made by imperfect humans, so therefore sometimes it is very difficult to even imply them or do things perfectly. So there's difficulty like that sometimes in this world, even with the best of people, sometimes things can go in a very confusing direction. So ultimately they have to decide who is in charge. So the president just pushed on, and the President of America, he made it clear that, there are some options that the Republicans, if they constantly block him, then they would be in trouble, and he would just overrule them, and otherwise it would not be possible to govern. It may be right or may be wrong, but somebody has to make the last decision. That's at least in this world. So similarly, the whole balance of this universe also, they are the laws of God. But the laws of God are very perfect. They always act. It's not that we can say, I'm exempt from that. I will not die. Everyone is dying. So therefore, Yudhishthira Maharaj, when he was asked this one question, what is the biggest miracle of this world? Yudhishthira was asked inclination of, or as far as I understand, of Yamaraj, or extension of Yamaraj, son of Yamaraj, something like that. Then he was very wise and he knew the laws of this world, so he was asked all these very interesting questions. So at the end he was asked also, what is the greatest miracle in this world? And he said, the really greatest miracle that is truly amazing is that so many people have died, practically everyone. Everyone has died, whoever has taken birth here. And right now we see everyone will die at some point or another. So in the future we can safely assume it's as sure as death, we say. It's very sure that anyone who is born, he must die. So we see billions of people who were living on this planet before us. Hardly anyone remembers their names. They have all gone away. They have all died. And we are meant to die also. It's very likely that every one of us will die. Therefore everyone is afraid of death. In the future people will die. But the big amazing thing is that everyone acts as if you would be staying here forever. Now that is the greatest miracle. That is really amazing. So, in the previous verse, the word mrityu was used, which normally means death, also in the sense of unhappiness or anxiety, because the greatest anxiety, the greatest fear is fear of death. Because if somebody thinks he's this material body, I'm this material body, my body is made of matter, of chemicals and so on. In the end, it's going to dissolve. Then actually, why are we even here? And then what is the great meaning of our existence? And also, if we lose all that, then practically I'm lost. Then everything is gone. Whatever I worked for, whatever I accumulated, whatever I did, it will be forgotten in a few years, as if it never existed. Therefore, for the materialistic person, death is the greatest fear, it's the greatest anxiety. While for the spiritualist, who has scientific knowledge from the Vedas, they know that there is a life beyond this life. And that is taught, of course, by all the different religions. But in the Veda, the extra details are given also. What happens to the soul after death? What is the nature of the soul? What is the soul made of? All these things are more detailed explained in the Vedas. So it doesn't contradict the other revealed religious scriptures, but just the content of information is very original and is very complete. So we learn from the Vedas about the qualities of the soul. What is the soul? That is us. That is the part of us that is surviving after the material body dies. It is a superior form of energy. It has different qualities from matter. Matter has a tendency to dissolve all the time, while the soul, as mentioned in Bhagavad Gita, never dissolves. It cannot be dissolved in water, cannot be dissolved in chemicals, cannot be dissolved by the wind. The soul always remains individual unity. The soul is living energy, it is not dead. And life is eternal, it can never be destroyed. It's a superior form of energy. And this form of energy is not impersonal energy, but the very symptom of that energy is that each soul is different individual for us. So Krishna explained that in the past, the individual soul was existing at all times. And at the present, we can see that we're existing as individuals. I'm not you, you're not me, we're different individuals. And that is the beauty of creation, that everyone's individually different, a person. And what is the symptom of person? We also have consciousness, we have feelings, we have the ability to think. That this box here, which is made of matter, it doesn't have that ability. It doesn't have consciousness. I can knock here, nobody will complain. It's just matter, it's an assembly of material elements. But the soul in itself is a unit of indestructible spiritual energy, of living energy. And today is the disappearance day of Srila Prabhupada, so that is the, after we spent some time with him, some years, in the end he told us, very implicitly, explicitly. Yeah, one of the two. He was much emphasis that this is actually the essential part, the ABC, that we have to understand and also present to the people. Because otherwise the other parts of religious and spiritual life are very hard to understand. So we have to know what is the soul. That the soul is eternal, it can never be destroyed. It's without beginning and end. And it's the most wonderful thing that exists. Some hear the soul is wonderful or amazing. Some say that the soul is amazing. Some think that the soul is amazing, while others don't understand anything about the soul, although they have heard the word soul many times. They don't know anything about the soul. So as soon as you study the soul, you will find it's very wonderful. It's very amazing. It's the most amazing thing is life. There's nothing beyond life. Life is actually divine. Because life, each soul is an eternal part of the supreme life, of the unlimited life. And that is called God. Normally people have misconception about what is God. Therefore we don't always say God, we say the absolute truth, because it's more scientific. But we can also use the word God, but then we have to define it properly. And according to Oxford Dictionary, common terminology, there's also a definition of God as supreme authority. That is supreme authority. Because God is all-powerful and all-knowing, He must be the supreme authority. So therefore, Yamadutas here, they are inquiring, is there any authority beyond this God of death? Is there any supreme authority beyond the Vishnu-dutas like this? Because now we're confused. If there's not one supreme authority, we're in trouble now. There will be argument endlessly. So then the good news was that there is a supreme authority from whom everything comes. Aham sarvasya prabhavo. All the universes, all the material spiritual universes, the kingdom of God and everything comes from that supreme love, from that supreme consciousness, that supreme intelligence. And the good news is this supreme intelligence, although being all-powerful, is also all-merciful, and He's filled with love. And we're actually all looking for that love. He loves everyone, the sinners and the non-sinners. He loves everyone. That's not an excuse to commit sinful activities. For our benefit, God says, don't act in bad ways, because you will simply harm yourself. That is the understanding, the deeper understanding. By doing bad things, you are the biggest loser. You lose your character. You're losing your good qualities. And ultimately, you'll suffer because you're increasing your own ignorance. To defy the existence of other beings and to simply harm them, just like some say, I don't care what I eat and I don't care if the animals are cruelly slaughtered, because I just love eating it and that's all that matters to me. One professor told me. So then I told him this way of argumentation is almost fascist-like. According to one scientist, Professor Rupert Bly, Catholic University, there are fascist-like ways of communicating. And the characteristic of that fascist-like way of communication is that we deny the suffering and feelings of other people. We act like we are the only one in the world. And that is, of course, based on illusion, because we are not alone in this world. We are part of a whole creation. We are part of nature. Therefore, environmental issues are very important. And in the Vedas, it is said that planet Earth is one of the 7 mothers to be respected, because mother is the most respectable person in this society. So, the planet Earth is our mother. But somebody who is simply self-centered, he will mistreat Mother Earth and exploit her and never care about the future or the past or whatever. I just like it, that's all. So this is kind of very, very self-damaging. Just like we are from Germany, the Germans thought we are the big nation, and who cares about all the others, you know? And then at the end, what was the result? The whole of Germany was destroyed, damaged. In Berlin, you can see pictures. Not one house was there anymore that was intact. So I take this little excursion here to show that God's laws are made with deep understanding, that He wants to give us these instructions. Please do this. Please don't act in a bad way, because we're damaging ultimately ourselves. Because in order to enjoy the good life, we have to work with each other. So love is like a very, very important principle. And love means a little more than just self-centeredness. I love this or I love that. But loving means to understand the other person also and try to be kind to the other person. So God is the kindest of all. That is the good news. And He's supreme authority even according to common use of the word. That is not our invention. Sometimes people quarrel about religions, but sometimes they quarrel because they cannot even agree on a definition of how to use God. And they use something that is very vague, that's not really very well thought over. But here in the Vedas, all these things are defined very clearly, and they are very universally defined, and